It's now Democratic Congressman from the great state of Pennsylvania, Representative Fattah, here to describe his proposed budget solution, along with Pat, John Howman, and Mark McKinnon still with us from Washington. Congressman, it's great to have you with us this morning.
Well, it's great to be here, and it's not way too early, but it's early, and I'm happy to be here.
I'll get you on way too early.
All right.
One of the few people who might be willing to come on at 5:30 in the morning. Let's talk about your Debt-Free America Act. What's the bottom line? What do you plan to do?
The bottom line is America should not be the world's greatest debtor nation. We have the wealthiest economy in the world. We can pay our bills. We got over $900 trillion moving around in our economy. There's no reason why we should have a trillion-plus deficit. And I was there when we balanced the budget under President Clinton. The president, Republican Congress, I voted for it. We cut some programs. We raised some taxes. We balanced the budget. This is not rocket science. We can do it. It's math. And my proposal is a simple one. Let's take a small fee on every transaction that happens in our country and apply it in a national fund to pay off our debt. We're going to be paying $1 trillion in interest alone in less than 10 years on the debt. Let's get out of debt. Let's get out of debt now. That's the plan, a small fee. You go to any economics course, basic tax policy course, they'll tell you this. The broader the base, the lower the rate. That's what your tax policy should be.
So what do you mean? I go to Home Depot this afternoon to buy a chainsaw to do something to Willie's house or something. And I buy the chainsaw, you take a small fee out of that transaction?
1% or less out of every transaction. For people 250 and under, they can have a 1% rebate on their tax filing so that they essentially are exempted. Any transactions in and out of personal accounts would not be subject to the fee. But transactions that intersect with a business account, take a small fee. Take a 0.5%, take 1%. Let's get out of debt.
Pat Buchanan?
You're talking about a 1% sales tax on all retail sales and all stock transactions. Say 1%, let's use that as an example.
Right.
Huh? How much money would that raise in a single year?
If you took all transactions, you'd raise $9 trillion
in 1 year?
A single year. However,
the whole economy is
my legislation suggests that we exempt the financial markets. That this is not a let's go after the financial markets deal. That because you could do those transactions offshore, I'm suggesting in my legislation that we exempt them. That what we go after is the more normal business that goes on in the country on an everyday basis.
How about housing?
We're not interested in the purpose of the transaction. It doesn't have to be a sale. If it's a check that goes to a federally regulated bank, we take a small fee and we get out of debt. That we believe enough in America being number one that we not walk around acting as if we have to have people from all over the world be our bankers.
I think the important thing you have to add here, Congressman, right, is that in addition, this is a big national sales tax you're talking about, but you're also talking about eliminating the federal income tax, and that's the only way this makes sense.
My legislation is a carrot and a stick deal.
Are you going to eliminate the income tax?
And let's get out of the personal income tax business. All of our economic competitors use a consumption tax. Some use a VAT.
You know, Congressman, that's considered, the sales tax is considered a regressive tax because poor people pay a higher percentage. You get rid of the 35% income tax I'm paying. I mean, I'm with you all the way, but I don't think you're going to get the average guy going along with that.
Get the pitchforks. Come with me, Pat. We can do this, all right? Here's the deal.
They'll put the pitchfork in me.
Look, what I'm suggesting is that we got a tax system that doesn't meet our country's needs. It doesn't generate the revenue. It's too intrusive. We spend hundreds of billions of dollars trying to comply with it. We should get out of debt. And we should pay our bills in a way in which the rest of our economic competitors do. China uses a consumption tax. The Europeans use a consumption tax. Why? Because the broadest base possible is the transactions that take place in an economy.
Mark McKinnon, you want to get rid of the federal income tax with Pat?
Well, here's what I like about the congressman's idea. At No Labels, we've been saying that everything should be on the table and everybody at the table, and we need fresh, bold ideas, and this is a very fresh and it's a bold idea. So I like it, and you know, and I also like the very Republican idea of lowering the rate and broadening the base. It's not exactly the approach that some Republicans might consider, but I do think it's a good. I think it's great that he's putting something bold on the table, because these are the kind of ideas that we need to debate right now. So, Congressman, what kind of support are you getting from any Republicans out there?
Well, I wrote a big, long dissertation in the Harvard Journal on Legislation. I sent it out to all of my colleagues. There's some excitement among members about the notion that we could do some broad-based tax reform and get out of debt. I mean, this notion, we got the Ryan proposal, and I know Paul well. It doesn't balance our budget. The GOP budget doesn't balance our budget to 2040. It doesn't get us out of debt for 75 years. Forget what he's cutting, where he's cutting. As fiscal responsibility, it's not the ticket. We need to get out of debt now.
But wait a minute now. Look, you got a $14 trillion economy. 70% of it's in consumption. You're talking about $10 trillion. 1% of that going to get you what? $100 billion. You can't run the economy. I mean, we got a $4 billion budget.
Now you're looking at the GDP. I'm not looking at the GDP. I'm looking at the transactional aspects of the economy, $900 trillion. So you're looking at what the end result is of all this activity. I'm looking at the activity. It's in the content of the individual transactions. So if GE buys NBC for $30 billion, if say it was a cash deal, right now the federal government would get 0. Under my proposal, we get 1%. All right. So if a candidate running for president, Buchanan for America, what, $1 million worth of ads on TV? Right now, the federal government will get 0. Under my proposal, we get 1%. So every time the money moves, we get 1%.
Your proposal, as imaginative as it is, as promising and potential as it might be, what prospects are there for its passage when you represent an institution, the House of Representatives, the Congress in general, can't agree on anything?
Look, man, how could the sports teams in Boston ever win a game with an attitude that said we can't ever win, right? I believe we could get it done. Even in the United States, I passed a mortgage foreclosure bill I introduced in 2002, 4, 6, 8, 10, passed it in 2010. You got to put the work in. But the most important thing is you got to have an idea. There has not been a new idea in terms of fundamental tax reform on the table since the flat tax and the national sales tax. Do you know how long the Republicans have promised that they would do a flat tax or a national sales tax? It's been there in their party platform for the last 30 years, and they never even moved a bill. What I'm saying to the Democratic Party is we should get on board with major tax reform. Let's see if we can get the Republicans to really stand up and say, let's actually do something about changing the tax system. And let's stop begging people. Why would we be the world's panhandlers?
But why would you?
When we represent the #1 country in the entire world,
and the richest country in the world. What kind of bureaucracy, Congressman, would you need to make sure that everybody pays 1%, say, of every single transaction that they do? I mean, you almost got to have a police state, don't you? I mean, what about the black market? Guys would deal, say, forget this, I'll deal with that. Give article of money, don't report that stuff.
Evade taxes.
Chaka Fattah's taking our money, don't report that.
But look, I know you only can evade taxes, right, if you allow a system in which the tax makes it worth evading. If we get 1% or below, and you only deal with transactions that you want to protect, right? The reason why the federal court system exists is to protect transactions. If you sign a contract and somebody doesn't honor it, right? Well, you want to have a transaction on record to have it protected. The only reason, we literally have a federal government that has created a market. It regulates the markets in a way in which you can do contracts, where you can have if you want to not have your money in a federally insured bank, we protect it if it's there. Well, that means if you move it through those banks, then we can extract our fee. What I'm saying is, in fact, these transactions wouldn't even be possible without a federal government in real respect.
So quickly, Congressman, before we let you go, does this 1% make up for all the money wipeout by getting rid of the federal income tax?
We can get rid of that law. We can get rid of the income tax, the capital gains. It depends on how you want to set the fee. I'm saying first, let's set the fee. Let's get out of debt. In the same legislation, the minute the country's out of debt, we get rid of the personal income tax, and then we move to the capital gains. And you might have to look at where the fee has to be set to get at some of these other taxes as you go forward. 2/3 of all our corporations pay no taxes at all to the federal government. So it's this notion that, oh, we got a high corporate rate, but let's get rid of the corporate rate too. Let's get to where the money actually is. That's why they said they went and robbed the banks, right?
Willie Sutton.
He said, I'm going where the money is. The money is in the transactions, not in chasing somebody about what income they got this year and what deductions they want to take. No, you move the money, we get our 1%.
You should call it the Willie Sutton tax reform plan. That sounds great.
I love it.
For now, it's called Debt-Free America, H.R. 1125. You can read more about it online. Congressman Chaka Fattah, thanks so much for being here.
Hey, it's not even way too early. I didn't get any coffee. Next time I come, I want a Starbucks.
Get the man some Starbucks.
We're going to give you 1%. All you want. Exactly. 1%. New weekly jobless claims due out any minute now. We'll get them when we come back.
Easy is a 100,000-mile, 5-year powertrain warranty. Easy is the most interior room in its class. Easy is 24 mpg highway. Easy is seating for up to 8. The engineers at GMC designed the 2011 Acadia to make it easy. Good news, it worked. Now lease this 2011 GMC Acadia for $299 per month.
Finally, the place they've been searching for, Staples. The one place that makes it easy to buy a new laptop. Or get one fixed. With highly trained tech experts, Staples makes troubleshooting and repairing technology just the way you want it. Easy. Easy to buy, easy to fix, easy to save. Staples. That was easy.
Oh, darn. Ah, shucks. Ah, shoot. Rats.
Leave a file behind and you're in it. Deep.
That was too bad.
But with the Log Me In Ignition app on your iPad, you can directly control any computer like you're sitting right in front of it. Plus take files with you. So with Log Me In, you can truly work from anywhere.
Holy sweet.
Log Me In Ignition. Available on the App Store.
This is the world's first full-scale floating wind turbine. This one single turbine is producing power for more than 300 households. This is a hostile place for people, but it's a great place for wind turbines.
Energy is evolving. Shouldn't the way you invest in it evolve as well? Call 1-800-iShares to request a prospectus, which includes investment objectives, risks, fees, expenses, and other information that you should read and consider carefully before investing. Investing involves risk, including possible loss of principal.
Can you tell the difference between these flea and heartworm medications? They're exactly the same brands with the same protection, same guarantee, but these cost a lot less because they're from 1-800-PET-MEDS. And you'll get fast service, free shipping, and free returns. That's the 1-800-PET-MEDS difference. It's so easy to order, and you'll save a trip to the vet, too, because they're delivered free right to your door with our 100% satisfaction guarantee. Call now or order online from 1-800-PET-MEDS, America's largest pet pharmacy.
As a home, there are things I'm supposed to do, like keep one of these over your head. Well, I wasn't supposed to need flood insurance, but I have it. Fred over here chose not to have it. Me? I've got a plan. Fred, Fred, what is your plan?
Do I look like I have a plan?
Not really.
Only flood insurance covers floods. For a free brochure, call 1-888-FLOOD-40.
What are we doing to help these kids who show up at school with inadequate support? We can't just put them at one of these desks and expect them to perform at the same level of kids who walk in with all the resources they would ever need.
When Pepsi faces a challenge, they call on Jack and Susie Welch.
Does cost of a product matter here? Of course.
It's everybody's business with Jack and Susie Welch. All new CNBC Monday, 9 Eastern. Sponsored by Microsoft.
Welcome Welcome back to Morning Joe. It's 8:35 in the morning here on the East Coast. Let's get a check on business before the bell with CNBC's Simon Hobbs. He's down at the New York Stock Exchange. Hey, Simon.
Willie, good morning to you. Yeah, we've had the weekly jobless data out, and it's not at first glance quite as good as we had hoped. 427,000 people were claiming benefits last week. That's a slight increase from where we were, and we did think it might decline. But the 4-week average is still moving in the right direction, and that's what a lot of people will focus on. We're still looking at a slightly higher open on the market today, after, of course, we fell for 6 consecutive sessions, and we've not done that for a couple of years. So the market is kind of coming off a relatively low base short term. Looks like we might get a bounce at the open.
Simon, we get all these numbers, and I think they can be confusing to some people. So we say the 4-week average looks good, although last week we got some disappointing numbers on Friday. So what should viewers be thinking about where we are with jobs? We are in an economy that is slowing. There's no doubt about that. We had the Fed survey yesterday, and that's why the market has been under pressure. We're not generating the sort of jobs that we had hoped. We are in the middle of a soft patch. The question is, how long and how deep will that soft patch be? That's where we are. Yesterday we had a Fed survey which said in 4 of the 12 regions that they cover, again, you've got this deceleration in growth, but they do believe that we will snap back in the second half of the year, because they say a lot of it is temporary. It's due to Japan, and it's due to the supply problems we have there. And that will unwind. But there are others that are a lot more pessimistic, it should be noted. Governor Rendell, what do you see in that number this morning?
Well, I think it's just what he said. This is so fluid, and it could bounce back. And I don't think we should make any judgments based on 1 month's figures.
Simon, let me ask you a question. The stock market is usually what's known as a lead indicator. It tells you where the economy is going to be 6 months from now. It's been going down for 6 weeks, has it not? Does that indicate that the economy also is going down?
It indicates that we're less optimistic than we were, let me put it that way. But don't forget, sir, we're coming from now an 84% rally on the market from the lows that we had in March of 2009. So you've got a very strong rally. And yes, we're coming down a little bit off the top. We've lost now 4% in 6 days. But that is the broader picture, a very strong rally. And inevitably, we're going to correct at some point. And that's maybe what you're seeing at the moment.
Simon, how do you think the market might react today to the passage yesterday of Dick Durbin's credit card bill?
I don't think it'll move the market overall. Clearly, the ball is very much now with the Federal Reserve to determine what they do. The banks have been under pressure. The financials have not been a good investment this year. They are really weighed down with a lot of concern. So maybe the financials will move in reaction to that. But again, they're coming from a low base, sir.
All right, Simon Hobbs, live at the New York Stock Exchange. Thanks so much. And Pat, we got that trade deficit down for you, down 6.7% in April.
What is it?
$43.7 billion.
That's about $500 billion a year, Willie. I mean, that's all our money going out.